Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mill Valley Submodel Railroad. It's Jake here again, and I wanted to do a follow-up video to the layout tour to kind of talk about some future plans for the layout and some improvements I can make. Before we get into that, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that watched the layout tour, everyone that provided feedback, all the new subscribers. Really appreciate that. It's really cool when you put something out there like that. You wonder, is anybody going to watch it? But it's really cool to get feedback from you guys and hear some of your ideas. So what I want to do today is kind of take a look at the very first portion of the layout, version 1.0, which is Mill Valley. It's the two 4x8 sheets of plywood that still exist on version 2.0. So I want to kind of go over there and show you a couple different ideas I have for the layout, maybe get some of your opinions on which one you think's better and go from there. So let's head over to Mill Valley and get started. All right, here we are in Mill Valley, which, like I said in the intro, was the original layout, version 1.0. My main goal with the reconfiguration is to alleviate some sharp curves that I briefly mentioned in the layout tour. And they kind of start where you see these couple of boxcars there on the inside. From there, all the way through the switch, past the farm, and all the way over to that big curve over there by the pole. Those are all 18-inch radius curves, so that really limits what I'm able to run on this layout, on the inside track, that is. And, you know, there's a lot of wear and tear on the locomotives with tighter curves. You have to run shorter trains. You can only run 4-axle engines, things like that, that kind of I don't want to be limited by. I do kind of like the idea of certain lines having limits. I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but being so sharp, it doesn't look very prototypical. So I want to alleviate that, and I have two different options in my mind, and I want to kind of take you inside my mind, which is scary, I understand, but just want to kind of give you an idea of what I'm looking at. So option one is really quite simple. Right where you see that support there in the middle of this left side of the layout. Basically, I would build a diagonal section, which would go from there all the way to the corner over by the support beam. The track would virtually follow that and would broaden out where the current curve is up there. Very simple. Obviously, I'd have to reconfigure this little bit of a siding here, but not a big deal. Certainly can work around that easily. The spin-off to that option is I want to do an auto, a car building facility. I'd like to locate that under the stairs, which is right here. I'd like it to just kind of come off the main line, come back in here, and have, the 86-foot boxcars coming in with parts, the auto racks leaving with finished product. I think that'd kind of be a cool thing to add, a little bit more of an operations type idea to get this layout a little bit more prototypical. So I like that pairing. Option one, simple change, no wiring needs to be done, or rewiring, I should say. Not really much bench work needs to be done. Just kind of a little add-on piece. So that's option one. Option two, I think, has a little bit more of a cool factor to it, I guess you could say. Definitely a little more, wiring would need to be done. A lot more bench work would need to be done, or redone, that is. And let me start explaining that one, but let me reposition first to get in a better spot. All right, I repositioned to Bellevue to give a better glimpse of how option two, where it would begin to change. So the current layout, the inside track splits from the outside main, and this is where they do some single track running in that portion there. Now, what I would do is both tracks would then stay parallel for the whole layout with option two. Right in through here, where this existing curve is behind the hill, It kind of ends once it clears the hill here, but it would continue. The station would move, and the curve would bring this part of the layout closer to the right than where it currently is. It would straighten out and parallel the existing portion, but it would, obviously be a lot closer this way. Once it hits this part, it would begin to curve back, obviously broader than those 18-inch radius curves. It would broaden out and then head straight back that way. And then once it hits this support pole, it would begin to fan out to the left a little bit to make room for a peninsula portion. And I'm going to reposition one more time back to where we were at the start of this video and give you a glimpse of what it's going to do on the other side. All right, we're back on the other side. And like I said, once it hits that support pole there, it's going to start coming out to broaden this curve here. And it's going to come about where that stool is. That's where it's going to start to curve back on itself and head that way. The point of the curve is about where that squirt bottle is. I know this is really scientific here. We're really drawing a track diagram. Basically from that pole to that is the center point of the curve. And the curve would continue and it would come into part of where this existing layout is. And then begin to curve back on itself. And let me use this hand. Kind of, the curve will finish and then on an angle back in toward itself, to make room for the next curve, which would then be curving back on itself this way and coming along the wall. Now, basically just creating a peninsula. Currently, I didn't really show this in the layout tour, but behind this backdrop, this poorly done backdrop, is a duck under, and it's about 18 to 20 inches off the wall where you can go back there and my son likes to go back there and watch the trains. I don't really like to duck under it because, like I said, this bench work is only about 30 inches tall, so definitely a big duck under. That would be eliminated with it curving back on itself and straightening up along the wall behind that backdrop. What it would allow me to do, though, is be able to walk where this current big 4-foot wide section is. You'd be able to walk in there. I think it would create a little more room to walk around down here. It would obviously narrow this portion, right in here. It would leave still about 2.5, 3 feet, which I think is enough. I want to keep it closer to 3 feet, obviously, to not have any issues walking through there. But that's kind of option 2. It's a little more in depth. There'd definitely be some rewiring. I'd have to add some feeders and things of that nature. But I think it would add, obviously a lot more track, about 30 to 40 feet of track, which, everybody wants to add track to their layout any way possible. I like the look of a peninsula. I think it would look really cool in this portion of the basement. I think it would be a focal point as opposed to just a wide open space where we don't really have much going on. And, off of option 1, the, car building, car manufacturer under the stairs, that could exist with either plan, really. Doesn't matter which, option 1 or option 2, whichever one I choose, that can exist in either one. But we'd have to see. That would be down the road. And really all of this would be down the road. But for now, I just wanted to throw those 2 options out there. I know a track diagram would really help illustrate this. I'm not super savvy with those type of things. So if there's anything out there that you guys use, let me know. Keyword is free, which, is hard to find. Let me know what you think. Write in the comments if you like option 1 or option 2. Again, option 1 is just real simple. We're just kind of going here, broadening the curve. And option 2 is the big peninsula here with both main lines coming through this area and then curving back upon itself back in here and back along the wall. All right, guys, let me know if you like option 1. where we just do a simple fix to the curve, or if you like option 2, where we create a peninsula in this area here, let me know. I look forward to hearing from you on either one of those two. If you have a preference, or if you have a third idea that I did not mention, feel free to drop that in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. This hobby's collaborative, and that's why I like doing these videos. I like hearing from you guys and kind of going back and forth on what you think. So I look forward to that. Hopefully having some more videos in the future, maybe some videos on how I did some things with the scenery or ballasting or things like that. So if you have any questions or anything that you want to see in the future, let me know that in the comments as well. I read every one of them, and I really want to, again, make this collaborative. I think that's what this hobby is meant to be, and making videos like this certainly helps that. So thanks again for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I look forward to doing this here again in the future. Thanks.